The city of Jerusalem, it became a holy land that every Christian, dreams of a pilgrimage once in a lifetime, because this is where Jesus is. She was nailed to a tree. Whether religious or not, the God-seen Jesus is crucified on the cross. It's one of those extremely familiar images with any AI. But why is it nailing? Need to know that crucifixion was a severe punishment in Roman times, was applied to publicly humiliate slaves or victims of low social status who are oppressed by the ruling class. Then the penalized person will be hung on a large 10-letter stand. The victim will eventually die of asphyxia or exhaustion. It's a long and painful process. So why? Jesus suffered the cruel crucifixion. Was it because he challenged the supreme power of the emperor? Roman institutions, he became king of the Jews. Jesus is considered by Christians to be the Christ, as described in the Gospels classics, mentioned in ancient letters and sources. Other old according to the New Testament texts, God Jesus Christ was arrested by the Roman prefect, Pontius Pilate. Sentenced to death, he was executed on a 10-foot tree with the words in Re 7. The words of Jesus on the tree of 10 crosses described in the Bible. The story of Jesus being put on trial, execution on the tree, 10 self-esteem, being crucified, is part of the story of suffering. Accident, passage from the crucifixion to the resurrection of Jesus. It's the foundation of the Christian religion. The history of the crucifixion is not disputed. Abandoned by researchers who find in it the main authentication standard, as John Paul Meyer pointed out. Multiple endorsements and consistency. Bird Herman, we believe that the crucifixion of Jesus was ordered by Pontius Pilate is a sure element in a person's biography. 3.5 years of preaching. Jesus knew that his time on earth coming to an end. Jewish leaders are plotting to kill you, but they're still afraid of people's reactions. They believe that Jesus is a prophet. Satan sows thoughts of betrayal. One of the 12 apostles of Jesus. It's Judas Iscariot. The Jewish leaders agreed, I'll give him $30 if we succeed in turning over Jesus. The last night before he died, Jesus gathers his disciples to the feast Passion. Judas departed from Jesus. He instituted a new feast, the Holy Feast of God. You take the cake. Pray. Then he told the 11 apostles, this is my body. I gave up for you. Do this to remember me. He did the same with a glass of wine and said, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. Jesus said many things to the apostles that night. Give them a new command. We have to love each other unselfishly. He said, if you love each other, and that's what, so that people will know that you are disciples are. Lord Jesus Christ advised them not to be disturbed by events. Tragedy is about to happen. He prays earnestly for them. Jesus and the apostles sing together. Back to the Gethsemane garden. The Lord Jesus Christ kneeled down, and a little faith in God through prayer. Not long after, a crowd of armed soldiers, the priest and others, came to arrest him. Now Zilda came near and kissed Jesus. Let them recognize you. When the soldiers laid hands on Jesus, the nations have fled before the supreme court of the Jews. Jesus says he is the Son of God. Then the court accused him of blasphemy and deserved to die. He was sent to the Roman governor Boniphilet, even though Jesus is innocent, but he still left you to the crowd who wanted to kill you. He identified the causes. The condemnation of Jesus, it's still a controversial topic. The execution of Jesus, there are basically religious reasons for the government, and political reasons for the Roman rulers. Some of the contemporaries of Jesus, that you're a liar, false prophets, even idolaters. This certainly makes the authorities. He was worried when his disciples, you have the shadow of God. Salvation in the culture of the Romans, the crucifixion was a notorious torture, reserved for criminals. This shows the sin of Jesus. The sentence must be very serious. It's like a dangerous agitator, political criminal in this news. According to St. John, the Lord Jesus Christ, you are supposed to carry your 10 self-worth to the mountain Golgotha, where the scene took place like the others who were crucified. According to the daily gospel exhibition, on the way to Golgotha, the soldiers forced Simon of Syria, passerby, carrying the 10 crosses of Jesus. The female disciples followed Jesus. And weep for your fate. Jesus was crucified at the 3rd hour, 9 a.m. It was dark on Friday at 12 noon. And he's 4 feet at 9 o'clock. That's 3 p.m. When to Golgotha, the best news is that there was a soldier who gave it to Jesus. Wine mixed with dreams to ease the pain, but who refused. And Jesus was crucified, according to the best news of the end. Exhibition according to traditional stories. He was executed by 3 or 4 nails. Then the classic Gospels tell us that clothes of Jesus, the soldiers took it from you. To distribute in lotscapable. Oath Roman executioners removed the knit razined canvas panties of Jesus, but they're less likely to cover you with a loincloth. To respect strictly of the Jews. 4 other classic Gospels also tell us that 2 other criminals were also executed. together with Jesus' crucifixion in Rome, was considered the most severe punishment. It's mainly for slaves and rebels. Roman citizens were given the honorable punishment as beheading. They're even given the right to commit suicide. And so they're respected in their will. Under the dress belt, Jesus is condemned for seduction. This is a crime of treason against the power of the empire. And who was executed by crucifixion? Some of the first gospel books, like the Gospel of St. Thomasnet, to report the suffering of Jesus. It's focused on his evangelism. However, 4 other standard gospel books about St. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it all refers to the death of Jesus. After being crucified. Theo Meredith J.C. Warren lectured of religious and biblical studies at the University Sheffield, England. Nailing can be done in a number of ways. According to the Christian tradition, the 4 limbs are enclosed in a wooden 10-letter rack. It's not clear if the nails were hands or wrists. However, the Romans not often nailing the victim. Instead, they sometimes tie up their victims with ropes. Archaeological evidence it only shows that crucifixion punishment, an ankle bone from the grave. It's Hanan, the man was executed in the 1st century. There is no gospel book in the New Testament specific mention Jesus was crucified or tied up. However, the Gospel of St. John talk about the wounds on the arm. Hanging up of Jesus leads to trust. Popular that both his hands and feet were crucified. The Gospel of St. Peter, a book from the 1st or 2nd century. It's not in the covenant. Described in paragraph 21 about the nails taken out of the hands of Jesus after the dead. However, in the engraving on the Constant Stone in this area is the Dominican Republic, dating back to the 4th century. The hand of Jesus doesn't seem to be nailed to the cross with a natural relaxed posture. It's like being tied to your wrist. According to some Gnostic movements, Jesus was not crucified. One of his disciples, or Simon of Cyrene, 10 self-esteem carried it up there. In the Quran verse 157, it's not real to talk about crucifixion. God has taken you to heaven. For those who write the Quran, the torture and crucifixion is not worth it. With a prophet as important as Jesus for the majority of Christians, the event of Jesus, give yourself up for the sins of mankind. It's considered an absolute obedience. It is the sacrifice of God's love. During the Renaissance. From the 14th to the 16th centuries LAN to the end of the group period 16th to 17th centuries. There is a picture of the body of Jesus from 10 crosses. It's a big challenge for artists. How to pre-order episode 2 of the easiest ozone mystery story. How to pre-order via QR scan. Then first, go to the link that we shared. For the computer.